They demoted me on a Tuesday like it was routine maintenance. No warning, no performance review, just Bryce Morrison sliding a single sheet across the conference table with that MBA smile he practiced in business school. Diane Cooper from HR sat there with her hands folded, already looking past me like I wasn't worth the trouble. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just asked one question that changed everything. Can you send me the documentation that supports this decision? The room went dead quiet in a way I've only heard when equipment's about to fail. I'm Garrett Walsh, 46 years old, lead equipment safety supervisor at Stockton Heavy Manufacturing here in Fort Worth. We build construction equipment for the big contractors. I've been doing this work for 18 years, 12 of them at this plant. My dad worked construction, taught me that when you're dealing with machinery that can kill people, you don't cut corners, ever. I show up at 6 a.m., check the maintenance logs, run safety inspections, and go home knowing nobody's getting hurt on my watch. The meeting invite said quick sync, 15 minutes. When I walked into that small conference room, Bryce was already there with Diane. No laptop, no paperwork, just that letter face down on the table. That's when I knew this wasn't going to be good. My hard hat sat on the chair beside me. I adjusted the strap twice while Bryce started talking before I even sat down. He used corporate words like efficiency, optimization, and operational flow, said I was technically competent but resistant to change, said my approach created bottlenecks in the new productivity metrics. Never mentioned the 0 accidents on my shifts for 4 years running. Never mentioned the equipment failures I'd caught before they turned into disasters. Just metrics and flowcharts. Then he flipped that letter over and slid it toward me. Effective immediately, I was being moved from lead equipment safety supervisor to equipment inspector. Same department, same hours, but $15,000 less per year and no authority over maintenance schedules. Temporary reassignment, he said, pending improved collaboration with operational goals. I read it twice. The letter talked about alignment issues and resistance to efficiency improvements. No specific incidents, no dates, no examples of what I'd done wrong. The tension in the room felt like a bearing about to seize. I kept my voice level, like checking pressure readings. Is this considered disciplinary action? Diane said it was a developmental opportunity. What specific behaviors need to change? Bryce leaned back in his chair. It's about being more flexible, Garrett. Working with the team instead of against progress. That's when I understood this wasn't about my performance. This was about control. See, Bryce and I had been having what you might call philosophical differences for months. He came from private equity consulting, brought in when Morrison Industrial bought us out 8 months ago. His job was making numbers look better on quarterly reports. Mine was making sure people went home with all their fingers. 3 weeks earlier, he'd pushed to extend maintenance intervals on the overhead cranes from monthly to quarterly. I flagged it as a safety violation. Federal regulations require monthly inspections on equipment handling loads over 10 tons. Our cranes handle 25-ton steel beams. When I showed him the OSHA guidelines, he said we needed to think outside regulatory minimums. I said we needed to think about lawsuits when someone gets crushed. The breaking point came when he blamed my team for a production delay that wasn't ours. In front of the whole shift, he said safety inspections were creating unnecessary downtime. I pulled up our maintenance logs and showed him the timeline. We'd actually prevented a catastrophic failure by catching worn brake pads on Crane 3. The delay was from rushing repairs that should have been scheduled maintenance. He laughed it off in the meeting, but later sent me an email saying I'd undermined his authority in front of the crew. I replied that accuracy wasn't undermining, it was keeping people alive. My son Tommy works as a welder on the floor. When I see him clock in every morning, I'm reminded why proper procedures matter. After that email exchange, the temperature changed. Fewer check-ins, shorter meetings, feedback that felt more like static than signal. I started documenting everything, old habit from my construction days. Paper trail saves your hide when things go sideways. By the end of that Tuesday, the shock wore off and the engineering kicked in. This wasn't about attitude. It was about removing obstacles to cost cutting. Bryce was 33, fresh from McKinsey, and had probably never worked a day with his hands. Never seen what happens when you skip safety protocols to meet deadlines. Never had to tell someone's family why their husband wasn't coming home. That evening, I forwarded the demotion letter to my personal email. Pulled my last 3 performance reviews, all rated exceeds expectations. Downloaded safety certifications, training records, and incident reports where I'd prevented accidents. I didn't post anything online or call anyone to complain. I just organized, like building a foundation You start with solid footings. Diane emailed 2 days later. Polite but vague. They'd compile relevant documentation and get back to me. No timeline. That's when I knew they didn't have much to compile. If their case was solid, they would have buried me in paperwork already. The silence told me everything. HR took 6 days to respond. Meanwhile, Bryce acted like nothing had happened. Same casual conversations, same requests for input on decisions I no longer owned. Same workload, less authority, less pay. I adjusted my hard hat strap and said yes to everything because saying no would prove their point about my attitude. Day 7, Diane finally sent something. Short email, 1 attachment. Performance summary, it said. Wasn't much of a summary. Bullet points in passive voice. Shows resistance to operational efficiency initiatives. Communication style creates friction with management objectives. Questions decisions in group settings. Approach conflicts with productivity targets. No dates, no witnesses, no examples. Like building specs without measurements. I read it 3 times, checking for load-bearing facts. Found none. This wasn't documentation. This was opinion dressed up as assessment. So I replied carefully, like calculating weight distribution. Thanked them for the summary. Asked where this was stored in my official file. Asked which managers contributed to it, and when these concerns were first documented. Asked why none of this appeared in my annual reviews or safety evaluations. I mentioned company policy requiring progressive discipline before role changes. I CC'd myself, didn't CC a lawyer yet, but I knew where this was heading. Diane responded next morning with a different tone, softer, more careful, said the summary reflected ongoing observations rather than formal disciplinary action. Said not everything needed to rise to documentation level. That sentence was like finding a crack in the foundation. If it was informal, it shouldn't justify demotion. If it justified demotion, it couldn't be informal. You can't have it both ways when you're dealing with structural integrity. So I pushed 1 step further. Requested my complete personnel file, including manager notes and safety documentation, referenced Texas employment law and company policy. Kept it professional, boring, bulletproof. Bryce messaged me an hour later. First direct contact since the demotion meeting. Hey Garrett, saw the email thread. Feel like this is getting adversarial. Not my intention. I stared at that message while adjusting my hard hat strap. Replied that I was trying to understand the technical specifications for a decision affecting my role and pay. Said transparency would help recalibrate our working relationship. He didn't respond. Over the next week, small changes started happening. Meetings I used to attend disappeared from my calendar. Maintenance decisions got made without safety input, then handed to me to implement. Carl Bennett, crane operator I'd worked with for 8 years, pulled me aside. No drama, he said, but Bryce has been saying you're difficult to work with. Says you resist operational improvements. I asked if he'd ever seen me being unreasonable about safety. He shook his head. Always seemed like you knew what you were doing, kept us safe. That night I went through every email, every incident report, every maintenance log, built a timeline like constructing a load analysis. When feedback appeared, when it didn't, when Bryce's tone shifted, when safety responsibilities got reassigned, when I'd refused to sign off on questionable procedures that later caused problems. The pattern was clear as structural steel. This wasn't about collaboration, it was about elimination. I found something interesting in my records. 3 separate incidents where I'd flagged safety concerns that Bryce wanted to override. Each time, when my recommendations were followed, we avoided problems. When they were ignored on other shifts, issues developed. The brake pad failure on Crane 3 could have dropped a 25-ton beam into the work area. The hydraulic leak I caught on the press could have caused a blowout that injured operators. The electrical inspection that revealed frayed wiring prevented a potential fire. Every incident was documented with dates, times, photos, and follow-up reports. Not because I was building a case then, but because that's how you prevent accidents. Document everything, track patterns, fix problems before they become disasters. The documentation was just good safety practice that happened to create an evidence trail. HR finally sent my personnel file 9 days after I requested it. Thick packet. Offer letters, performance reviews, safety certifications, commendation letters from corporate. One letter specifically thanked me for identifying manufacturing defects that saved the company $200,000 in potential recalls. Another praised my safety leadership during a federal inspection that resulted in 0 violations. My annual reviews consistently rated me as exceeds expectations in technical competence and safety management. Buried near the back was a manager evaluation dated 2 weeks before my demotion. Bryce had written that I demonstrated inflexibility regarding operational efficiency and struggled with adapting to evolving management expectations. Recommended temporary role adjustment to improve team dynamics. No mention of my safety record. No mention of the equipment failures I'd prevented. No mention of the money I'd saved the company by catching problems early. What struck me wasn't what he wrote. It was what wasn't there. No HR investigation, no documentation trail, no evidence anyone had verified his claims. No coaching records, no performance improvement plans, no progressive discipline. They demoted me based on one manager's assessment written 2 weeks before the decision, and now it was all in writing. I didn't react immediately. Sat with it like checking structural calculations. Once you realize the foundation is compromised, the smart move isn't panic. It's precision. I didn't march into HR the next morning. Instead, I researched, pulled federal regulations on retaliation for safety reporting, reviewed company policies on progressive discipline, documented every safety issue I'd flagged in the past year. The timeline was solid as reinforced concrete. When I'd pushed back on unsafe procedures, problems followed when my advice was ignored. When management listened to safety concerns, we avoided them. I had documentation proving every point, email threads, incident reports, maintenance logs, inspection records. 20 years of construction work teaches you that paper trail matters when someone tries to blame you for structural failures. A few days later, Diane scheduled a check-in. Conversation was friendly, almost casual. Asked how I was adjusting, whether my responsibilities were clear, whether I had concerns about management. I said I understood the current parameters, said I was following all procedures. Then I asked a question that shifted the load-bearing structure of our conversation. How does the company typically review role changes to ensure they meet progressive discipline standards? Diane hesitated. Brief pause, but enough to register stress in the framework. Said there was a formal grievance process, rarely used. Said it might create tension. I said I understood the potential complications. Asked for the paperwork. When I submitted that grievance, I built it like an engineering report. Chronological timeline with supporting documentation. Performance reviews, safety certifications, emails where management had praised my thoroughness. Referenced specific federal regulations Bryce's decisions had violated. Didn't call him incompetent. Just noted that the process didn't meet company policy specifications. The grievance was 7 pages when I finished, each claim supported with documentation. Each timeline verified with email timestamps. I wasn't asking them to take my word for anything. The paper trail spoke for itself. I included photos of the equipment issues I'd identified, copies of the incident reports, and records showing how following proper procedures had prevented accidents and saved money. 2 days later, Bryce called me. First actual phone conversation since this started. Voice was calm, but I could hear the tension underneath, like metal under stress. Feel blindsided by this. Garrett, wish you'd come to me directly. I had come to him directly. Multiple times. Asked for clarification, for documentation, for specific performance metrics. You know, not everything needs to be a formal process. Safety does, I said. Accountability does. When you're dealing with equipment that can kill people, everything needs documentation. My son Tommy clocks in here every day. When I see him put on his safety gear, I'm reminded why proper procedures exist. Look, I think there's been miscommunication. Maybe we can work this out without all the paperwork. That was the first crack in his confidence. He was offering to negotiate. The paperwork's already submitted, I said. Let's see where the process leads. Call ended politely, but the frequency had changed. This wasn't going according to his specifications. After that, things accelerated like a controlled demolition. HR stopped being vague, started asking specific questions. Dates, witnesses, documentation. Asked Bryce for coaching records. He didn't have any. Asked why safety concerns hadn't been addressed through proper channels. Asked why no progressive discipline had been documented. Meanwhile, Bryce started changing his approach, started CCing HR on messages, began documenting conversations that had never been documented before too late. The absence of historical documentation only highlighted how urgent it was now, like trying to add support beams after the foundation has shifted. Most unexpected development came when Carl pulled me aside again a week later, said HR had contacted him as part of their review, asked about my work quality, my safety focus, my interactions with the crew, told them the truth, he said. You know your stuff. Plant's safer because of you. That validation meant more than any corporate memo could. I realized I hadn't been working alone, just quietly. HR wasn't stopping with Carl. They contacted Janet Pierce from Quality Control, Linda Torres from the swing shift, Tommy Walsh from the welding department, my son Tommy. Each conversation revealed the same pattern. People respected my work. They trusted my judgment on safety issues. The difficult-to-work-with narrative wasn't matching reality. Tommy came home that evening and sat at the kitchen table where we usually discussed his day. "Dad, HR asked me about working with you, asked if you were fair, if you explained safety rules clearly, if you ever put production ahead of worker safety." I told them, "You taught me that no deadline is worth getting hurt, that you check on everyone, not just family." That conversation meant everything to me. My son seeing me as someone who protected people, not just enforced rules, someone who cared about every worker going home safe, not just the ones related to me. It reminded me why I'd started this fight in the first place. 3 weeks into the investigation, HR scheduled another meeting. This time it was Diane and her supervisor, Sharon Coleman. No Bryce. Sharon was direct like good engineering specs. "We're reviewing the circumstances around your role change. Walk us through your understanding of events leading up to it." I'd been preparing for this like calculating load limits, pulled out my documentation folder, walked them through each interaction with Bryce where safety concerns had been raised. The crane maintenance intervals, the production schedule conflicts, the timeline correction that triggered his complaint. For each incident, I showed them the original issue, my response, and the outcome. When I'd been overruled, problems had followed. When safety recommendations were followed, they hadn't. "This is comprehensive," Sharon said, reviewing the timeline. "Always keep detailed records," I replied. "You learned at working construction. My dad taught me that when something goes wrong, the first thing lawyers ask for is documentation. Better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it." Diane took notes throughout, asked specific questions about company safety policies, about my understanding of progressive discipline, about whether I felt my demotion was connected to safety advocacy. That last question hung in the air like a load suspended on questionable rigging. I answered carefully. "I think my role change happened after I consistently raised safety concerns that conflicted with operational efficiency goals. Whether those concerns were the direct cause or just made me inconvenient, I can't determine with certainty, but the timing suggests correlation. The documentation suggests a pattern. After that meeting, things started shifting in ways I could sense but couldn't measure directly. Bryce stopped messaging entirely. Carl mentioned that some of the maintenance shortcuts Bryce had pushed were quietly being reversed. The monthly crane inspections I'd insisted on were back in the standard procedures. The safety meetings that had been cut to 15 minutes were extended back to their proper length. 2 weeks later, HR expanded their review. They contacted former employees who'd worked under Bryce. Both had left within the past year. Both had cited cultural fit and communication style in their exit interviews. Now they were getting more specific questions about safety protocols and management support. I learned about this when Beverly Martinez, former quality inspector, called me directly. She'd moved to a competitor but still had friends at Stockton. "They asked me about safety procedures and whether I felt supported raising concerns," she said. I was honest. "Bryce doesn't like being questioned, even when the questions prevent accidents. He makes you feel like safety standards are obstacles to overcome rather than lives to protect." 2 more conversations like that painted the same picture. People who'd worked with Bryce had noticed the same pattern. Question his efficiency metrics, get labeled as resistant to change, push for proper procedures, get marginalized or transferred out. The investigation was revealing something bigger than just my situation. HR called me back for what they said would be a final meeting. This time, Sharon had someone else with her, Neil Fletcher from Corporate Safety. "Garrett, we've completed our review," Sharon said. "We found that your role change didn't follow progressive discipline procedures. The documentation supporting the action was insufficient." Neil leaned forward like checking critical measurements. "We're also concerned about potential retaliation for safety advocacy, which violates company policy and federal regulations." I felt something release in my chest, like pressure equalizing, but I kept my expression neutral. "What does that mean for my current situation?" "Your original role and compensation will be restored immediately," Sharon said. "Your personnel file will reflect no disciplinary action. Previous documentation will be removed. She paused, like checking structural integrity one more time. We're also restructuring some responsibilities. Bryce will be transitioning to business development, focused on client relations. He'll no longer have direct reports or involvement in operational safety decisions. That was corporate language for reassignment to somewhere he couldn't hurt anyone. I understood perfectly. There's one more thing, Neil said. Given your expertise and your track record with safety advocacy, we're creating a new position, Plant Safety Director. Direct reporting to corporate safety with oversight of all maintenance protocols and safety procedures across our manufacturing operations. The promotion was real, but it wasn't a fairy tale ending. It came with new challenges. More responsibility, more politics to navigate, more ways things could go wrong. And it meant the corporate leadership had essentially signed off on Bryce's removal from operations. I'd like some time to consider the director position, I said, but I appreciate having my original role restored. They gave me a week to decide. Walking back to my station, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Not victory, exactly, more like structural integrity restored. The system had worked, slowly and imperfectly, but it had worked. Documentation had mattered. Process had mattered. Patience had mattered. Bryce was nowhere to be seen that afternoon. Office was empty, computer packed up. Carl mentioned he'd left around lunch with a box of personal items. That evening, I called my son Tommy to tell him about the resolution. He was glad things worked out, but asked something that stayed with me. You taking the director job, Dad, didn't have an answer yet. At 46, I had plenty of good working years left, but starting over in a new role meant risk. Staying in the same position after everything that had happened also meant complications. Some relationships would need rebuilding. Some trust would take time to restore. Next morning, I found an email from the plant manager himself. Brief, professional. Thanked me for my professionalism throughout the process and said the company was better for having employees who prioritized safety and integrity. No mention of Bryce, no apology, just acknowledgement. It was enough. 3 days later, I decided to take the plant safety director position. Decision wasn't simple. I was comfortable with routines, knew the equipment, knew the people, knew where problems hid, but the new role offered something different. Authority that came from corporate, not local management. A chance to implement safety standards that would protect workers across all our operations. The changes were gradual but real. Safety meetings ran longer, people asked more questions. When someone flagged a concern about equipment, nobody rushed to override them. The culture was shifting back to something I recognized. Methodical, careful, professional, like good construction work. Built to last. 6 months into the director role, I got a call from a plant manager in Houston. They'd heard about our safety improvements and wanted to implement similar protocols. Word was spreading that proper safety procedures actually improved efficiency by preventing accidents, equipment failures, and costly shutdowns. What we learned at Stockton was becoming a model for other facilities. Tommy got promoted to senior welder around the same time. During our usual kitchen table conversation, he mentioned something that stuck with me. Dad, guys on the floor say you changed things here. Not just the safety rules, but the way management listens to workers. Used to be, you raised a concern and got told to focus on production. Now they actually investigate and fix problems. That conversation reminded me why I'd fought this battle. It wasn't just about my job or my pride. It was about creating a workplace where people like Tommy could speak up about safety without fear of retaliation, where experience was valued over credentials, where proper procedures protected lives instead of slowing down profits. A year later, I ran into Beverly Martinez at an industry safety conference. She mentioned that several companies were asking about our safety protocols, wanting to know how we'd managed to reduce accidents while maintaining productivity. The answer was simple but not easy. Document everything, follow procedures. Listen to workers who actually use the equipment, and remember that no schedule is worth someone's life. Looking back, I realized that getting demoted was the catalyst for something bigger than personal vindication. It forced a company-wide examination of priorities, of how safety concerns were handled, of whether efficiency metrics were worth the human cost. The system worked, but only because someone was willing to work the system properly. Documentation, patience, and precision beat anger and volume every time. These days, when people ask me for advice about workplace conflicts, I tell them what my dad taught me about construction. Build your case like you're building a foundation. Start with solid materials, follow the specifications, document every step, and don't rush the process. The structure will hold if you do the work right. The truth has a way of surfacing when you give it enough light and time, but only if you're willing to document every step and follow the process exactly as it's written. When someone calls your integrity the problem while you're protecting people's safety, that's not a character flaw to fix. That's a signal you're doing something that matters.